What up? It's your boy T-Bone Reaction. Today's Music Monday. Go kick things off with some videos from the homie L Train, Luke Kitcheneau, again inside production. We get production styles, well-known producers, and many other that changed the game of music, as well as especially hip hop. And we're gonna take a look at one who definitely changed the game in hip hop for New York hip hop as well. Ted Pullen helping him being part of the talent that put New York hip hop back on Mac. That's known as RZA, the leader of the infamous super hip hop group, the Wu-Tang Clan. His production skills, has been crazy as well too. So this is called Inside RZA Master Plan: How Wu-Tang Refined New York Hip Hop. Now, so yesterday we did check out how NWA changed the game in hip hop, changed the West Coast. Now we'll see how, and we're in calls the run of West Coast hip hop dominating the East Coast. So now we're gonna look at how RZA brought New York was one of the state points to bring New York hip hop back together, and then pay way for others to help with that, such as Notorious B.I.G., Nas, and later on Jay-Z and many others. So without further ado, let's check it out.
November 9th, 1993. One of the biggest days in hip-hop history. Tribe dropped Midnight Marauders, and Wu-Tang hit the world with 36 Chambers. A debut so raw and unpredictable, it flipped New York's sound overnight. At the center of it all was RZA, the producer who built the clan from the ground up, made a record that sounded like chaos, kung fu, and New York grit colliding, and launched a 5-year plan that reshaped the entire genre. But how did he pull it off? To understand that, we need to go back to where it all started. Our story begins in New York City in 1969. Robert Fitzgerald Diggs was born in Brownsville, Brooklyn, one of 11 siblings raised by a single mother.
Being a single mother, I guess she probably went through a lot of different feelings.
Wow. They did get some good casting on for his mom, because that's Erica RZA, aka Maxine Shaw, played her, and that was a good casting as well too, because she was like her.
Changes, and she had a lot of different records that she would play over the years. All the soul records from
and it's all his brothers and sisters. So yeah,
the Crusader.
So like I always say that because on there they only show one brother and one sister as well too. I think I'm not about the brother, but the sisters as well. Like all the sisters combined as one. I heard.
To the OJs, to the Delphonics, to the Temptations, all the way up to Kenny Rogers was in the crate.
Wow.
Growing up, he moved between Brooklyn and Staten Island.
That's what you call a good collection right there.
Spending his summers down in North Carolina with his uncle. But everything really shifted when he came back to Staten Island in '76.
The first time I heard hip-hop was on Staten Island, 1976. It was a DJ named DJ Jones, the other guy named was Quincy, and then an MC named MC Punch. They would bring their system out, they would plug up, and they would do their jam. I'm coming back from down south, 7 years old, going on 8. I hear this music, I'm mesmerized.
He connected with the music instantly, and it was unlike anything he'd heard before.
What he was playing was Apache.
And funny, he has Luke Kitcheneau Train has a video about that infamous instrumental as well too, though. I'm gonna try to do it sooner than later as well too, though. I got one more video ahead of that I gotta do as well too, though. Now I'm originally gonna do, but I feel like this came out before that, so I need to do this one.
That song made me want to get on the floor and roll around. And the first thing I did was I tried to learn how to do, it wasn't even called breakdancing, it was called freak style. Freaking off, do the freestyle.
Not long after that, he found a different kind of inspiration. A world far away from the block parties and break beats of Staten Island.
I saw my first Kung Fu movie, I think, at the age of 9. I saw a double feature starring Bruce Lee, which is called Fury of the Dragon, and another movie called Black Samurai starring Jim Kelly. Once I saw that, I was hooked on the action Kung Fu movie.
By 9, hip-hop and Kung Fu were shaping his world.
Nice.
And in hip-hop, his older cousin, Gary Eldridge Grice, better known as GZA, was the one bringing him into it.
My cousin GZA, a couple of years older than me, he was already writing lyrics at that time. He learned it from the Bronx. By the age of 9, I started writing lyrics.
As he got older, those influences only deepened. And with his cousin Russell Tyrone Jones, also known as ODB, right there alongside him, they drifted deeper into the world of cinema.
I cut school for years, and I was in the theater. So that's basically my education. And Dirty as well. We would cut school and just go to the movies. And you get 3 triple features, and we come home.
Pretty quickly, curiosity turned into action. He picked up a pair of turntables and had a crack at DJing himself.
At the age of 11, I got my first pair of turntables, straight arm techniques, the hardest ones that you could scratch on. And I was building up an extensive record collection.
These were the foundation, the music, the movies, his 2 cousins, and now the tools to start experimenting for himself. By the early 80s, RZA wasn't just content with listening. He'd been DJing on his own turntables, building up a crate of records from every corner of the city. But that was only the start. He wanted to figure out how to make his own sound. And it was a Grandmaster Flash tune that pushed him and ODB towards their first real piece of gear.
I do remember hearing Grandmaster Flash had a song called Flashes on the beatbox like that. And me and Dirty tried to go and find what the heck was a beatbox. What we ended up getting was one of those rhythm boxes that they use in church for rhythm.
It wasn't quite what Flash was using, but paired with his turntables, it gave them the first taste of producing their own beats. Not long after, the 3 cousins got their first chance to record in an actual studio.
One day, there's a guy on Staten Island named Philly Phil. He comes outside with a 606 drum machine. But then Dr. Rock of the Force MDs, he comes out with a 707. So this is 1982 now. He invites me, RZA, and ODB over to do a demo. I'm 14 years old, and we recorded a demo, and we just felt like we was going to be on top of the world.
It wasn't polished or professional, but it was the first time they'd heard themselves on tape. After that session, relying on other people's equipment wasn't going to cut it. So RZA started piecing together his own setup from whatever he could borrow.
I had a DJ on Staten Island named Scotty Rock.
So pretty much the same thing they just showed when they was in Flash. That's what the best of rhythm box kind of in the way, what beatbox in the way. That's pretty interesting. Oh, so he had like little cha-cha. Oh, that's pretty cool right there.
1,200 techniques and a 909 drum machine. I stayed at his house every day after school, making beats and making demos with him and another guy named B-Dub. And we had another guy from my high school named DJ Skane. He's the one that had the Yamaha 4-track. I borrowed this and borrowed that and borrowed that, brought it over to my house.
Nothing close to a proper studio, but it gave them the freedom to record their own tracks.
I just started making neighborhood albums. Me and ODB would make albums and put them out in the hood.
By the mid-80s, the 3 had become a tight unit, known as the Force of the Imperial Master. Their track All In Together now spread through tapes across New York, even catching the attention of Biz Markie.
It stopped. I tried to leave. She yelled out, freeze! Pulled down my pants and dropped to her knees.
Then RZA's first big break came in the early 90s, a deal with Tommy Boy under the name Prince Rakeem.
It's Prince Rakeem, being young, 17, 18 years old, you know, all you think about is girls. I was pretty popular guy with the girls, always got on some polo and Gucci. I actually like to carry myself like a prince. I wouldn't touch my food without a napkin and walked like Mr. Spock, had my hands behind my back, very straight up and elegant.
Too many ladies. I've got to learn to say no.
His EP, Ooh, I Love You, Rakeem, dropped in 91, but it didn't take off like he or the label had hoped.
I'm a guy in the industry that came through the industry and failed, according to how you would say success would be. With the Prince Rakeem, I had to hit a certain number in order to get that album budget. I didn't hit that number, I didn't get that album budget. But I had a chance also to see the industry in a way that it was just dog eat dog.
After the Prince Rakeem era collapsed, life pulled him away from New York. His family had moved to Stubbleville, Ohio, and RZA followed. It was there he was arrested, accused of shooting a man in the leg.
I was facing 8 years, bailed out, won the trial. While I was going through all this, my mother was so disappointed. Her face of disappointment was more crushing than this.
He was acquitted on April 23rd, 1992. Walking out of that courtroom as a free man felt like a reset, and it was at this moment his 5-year plan was born. When RZA got back to New York, he came with a brand new purpose. He wanted to build a whole crew, something bigger than just one artist. And he wanted to fuse the 2 worlds that shaped him, hip-hop and the mythology of Kung Fu cinema, into a single identity.
I went first to RNS, because RNS at this time is a better producer than me. I told him, I got this idea. I want to take all the Kung Fu energy and put it into the hip-hop and call us the Wu-Tang Clan. We get the whole Staten Island. He was like, nah, God. He didn't get it. But the ones who did saw it was the MCs.
RZA, coming off his own industry struggle with his debut Words from the Genius, was in. ODB was in. And then came a wave of Staten Island's sharpest MCs. Method Man, Raekwon the Chef, Ghostface Killer, Inspector Deck, You God, and eventually Master Killer.
I guess that they felt like, you know what, we're gonna do it our way, we're gonna come with something new. And Riz was the spearhead of it. Riz called certain niggas in the hood, yo, I want niggas to get on this record right here. We gonna come bum rush the game.
With so many voices, personalities, and ambitions in the group, someone had to steer the ship, and that could only be RZA.
I asked him for 5 years. I said, give me 5 years of dictatorship. And when the 5 years expired, well, do what the fuck you want to do. We live in a democratic world, but sometimes when you're building something up, dictatorship is good because sometimes you need one mind, one driving force to achieve things.
Yep.
Once the plan was set, they needed a record that would introduce the clan to the world. And there was only one place that RZA wanted to make it, Firehouse Studio in Brooklyn, the same studio that he and GZA had recorded their debuts at. Firehouse owner Yoram Vazan remembers the phone call clearly.
RZA called me and said, we want to book studio time, and we're doing this 2 songs EP under Wu-Tang Clan. We're going to show them. There's 7 rappers in one song. It was unheard of. And they changed their attitude as well. They came with protests, very angry and very frustrated with the music industry and the fact that people didn't appreciate their art.
Firehouse wasn't a high-end studio. It was a converted apartment with a vocal booth built inside a walk-in closet, a control room squeezed into a bedroom, and MCs filling up the living room. Once they were inside Firehouse, the song didn't start the way most people think.
The original Protect Your Neck was an Inspector Deck track that we had recorded called It's Not Your Average Flow. But in the studio, I was like, nah. And I actually took the sample out of it and remade the whole track from scratch. I took the samples out and I just played the bass line and then took all the little samples and just was doing it like that, doing it manually.
When it was done, they didn't shop it to labels. They scraped together quarters to press up a vinyl, sold it out of trunks, and handled all the radio plugging themselves in their own special way.
December of '92, the door rings, so I open up the door, and there's 5 cats. Yo, B, we got this new record, yo, play that song. I'm like, yo, chill. I go into the studio. Dude, it's a white label. This shit don't even have no fucking writing on it. I put it on, I'm hearing like martial arts, hoo-ha-ha. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I'm like, oh, this shit is dope. So I played it. My man calls up. Right after it's done, he's like, yo, what the hell is that shit?
I smoke all the like smoking Joe Frazier, the Hellraiser, raising hell with the flavor, terrorize the...
That play on Stretch and Bobito kicked everything into motion. Suddenly DJs wanted it, college radios were spinning it, and stores were selling out of the 12-inch. That's when it made its way to Steve Rifkind at Loud Records, put on his radar by one of Loud's scouts.
You got to find this guy, Prince Rakeem. So here's the number, call him. And he doesn't have an answering machine. I'm trying to track him down, and I'm in the RZA building, and somebody says, Prince Rakeem is here. We have to sign this group immediately. And we get the deal done in less than 4 days.
Loud weren't the only label interested, but they were the only one willing to give RZA and the clan the structure they were asking for.
So Loud, at the time, Steve Rifkind, of course, being one of the best executives, but the business couldn't sustain all of us. So the idea was like, well, let's make the connect with him, but then make connects with other partners throughout the industry.
That meant the group could move as one, but each member stayed free to sign their own solo deal. The next step was simple. Get everyone in a room, shut the door, and make the rawest record New York had ever heard. To record the album, the group went straight back to Firehouse Studio. This time, RZA showed up with new firepower, the Ensoniq ASR-10, a machine he'd only just upgraded to, became the backbone of the album.
I started with the EPS, they came with the 16 Plus. I had those same discs, and then they came with the ASR-10 right before I started doing 36 chambers. So all my EPS Plus or EPS discs fits into the ASR. It was an upgraded machine. So I could have a beat that I made in 1989 or 1990 on floppy disk, and then stick it in, and even change the sample rate.
The switch wasn't just an upgrade. It gave him the sampling time he needed to build the world he heard inside his head.
Most of my shit is ASR because, first of all, you got way more sample time. I wanted...
Yeah, I think that's probably why a lot of people used it around back then, because I think it had more sample time than both the ESP 1200 and the MPC 60 at the time, but at the time as well too. So yeah, that's pretty dope to think about that. I think I remember. Shout out to Diary Production. I gotta get back to this stuff because I stepped away because folks was giving me crap for not having too much knowledge of it as well too. So yeah.
I didn't want 2 bars or 1 bar.
Alongside this, RZA also used the EPS 16 Plus and the SP 1200 for certain tracks, as revealed by engineer Carlos Bess. The samples in the album had their own mythology.
Let me see that list again. What songs? What? Oh, he did do some stuff on SP 1200. Oh, Method Man. I can see that. I can see that being LMC's 100. Right? That was with that song. I can see that. A lot of them was SB12 ASR as well too. Bringing records. Yeah, I can see that being the EP 16. Was that the one before that? Yep. Oh, Cream 2. Nice. All right. Yeah, that's pretty cool to see you list of that.
For certain tracks, as revealed by engineer Carlos Bess. The samples in the album had their own mythology. Soul records he dug up across New York, random sound effects, kids' cartoons, and those iconic martial arts dialogue clips.
My parents had all the soul records. What made my selection and collection so ill was I was taking everybody's parents' records. I went to Inspector Deckhouse, and his mother had a whole closet full of old records that she gave me. Ghostface Mom, the people that be in New York City and the village just selling records on the street corner. I used to buy records everywhere, anywhere, no matter what.
Take Cream, where RZA digs deep into his crates to create a track built around a 2-bar loop from 1960s soul group The Charmels, As Long As I Got You.
Yep.
And a huge part of the album's sound came from RZA's completely unquantized drums.
For me, I always know the time, because it's my time. It's almost like I thought that time could be changed at any moment based on the pulse. Since that's possible, I could post what the fuck I want to post. And it'll change the time. That's why I'm bringing the ruckus when Ghost goes one way, but then in the middle of a sound, it changes in the middle of the bar. Ray goes, it changes, and it doesn't really make sense until the hook. Now it's in the groove.
And that's one in the chamber.
Yup. Oh, yeah, it's on. Yes.
36 styles a day.
Yes.
Then there were the limitations of the studio. The studio featured a PV Production Series 2400 desk, which was nothing like the SSLs found in more expensive studios. That meant it didn't feature built-in automation.
There was an engineer there, Ian and Ethan, the crazy white boy Ethan. We didn't have a lot of automation, but he just had this trick where he would hold down the mute button on different faders and open it up and get that exposed.
I remember Ethan from the series, yeah.
Yeah. You start hearing that exploding snare happen on a few of our tracks throughout the album. It was so funny to watch him do it because he was hyped up.
Making the beats was only half the process. The other half was managing everybody and crafting the song. Take tracks like Shame on Her.
That's one of those joints where Dirty comes to the studio late. I'm kind of in there waiting for him. Then he goes in the booth and spits this song in one take. The mistakes, everything. And I said, yo, all right, then kick it again. He's like, nah, it's like for God. That's it. They gonna love it. And he was right.
Old dirty bastard, live and uncut. Styles unbreakable, shatterproof. To the young youth, you wanna get gunned?
Some tracks would take 3 days to make, but others, like Method Man, could be done almost on instinct.
I made Method Man in 15 minutes. You could tell just loose drums and actually doing the mutes and solos on the spot. That's what makes it so bouncy. I'm just doing that shit live.
Peanut butter, 'cause I'm not butter. In fact, I snap back like a rubber band.
Every MC had their own personalized compressor preset to get the best out of their voice.
Okay.
I got every compressor already preset to their voices. I knew that I wanted his voice like that. Everybody got their own settings.
The magic of 36 chambers wasn't
That's interesting right there. I'm like, Tuesday, I feel like I don't do much about compressor from beat making as well too. Something like I really feel out as well too, but it's not. But that's interesting. He did that.
Rooms or expensive machines.
One reason why I think this album is special is that this is an album that didn't take money to make. We paid nobody to come to the studio. Like, you woke up and was like, yo, I'm going to the studio. I didn't tell them to come to my crib. They showed up at the crib. When you making things that's pure, I think it means something else.
And if there was a way to really bottle the gritty, grimy sound of New York, RZA found it.
I found my sound from living in New York City, from riding in the subway trains, watching old kung fu movies. Just the grit of New York in the 80s and 90s had something special about it, and I tried to capture that sound in my music.
The sound they carved out on the album was unlike anybody else at the time, and that was completely by design. Pure, raw, unfiltered hip-hop.
As a producer, I didn't want nobody to say that my record was nothing else but hip-hop. Everybody would put a reggae record on their album or R&B record on their album. Once LL made love song, everybody got to make a love song. I was like, no category for me but hip-hop.
I love it.
All right, quick break before we get into the next part of the story. At Loop Kitchen, we cook up sample packs inspired by that raw, soulful energy from hip-hop's golden era. The kind of dusty sound RZA was chopping for 36 chambers. Full, nostalgic compositions you can chop, flip, and twist into your own thing.
Yep, something like this.
Right now, all our packs are buy one, get one free with the code Wu better hurry up. I know the puns are getting worse every week. And if you just want to dip your toes in, we've got some free packs you can grab too. We've also got a Discord community for producers and beat makers.
I see you got another
for
free
sharing
pack.
samples, asking questions, or to join our beat battles. And we'd love to see some of you there. If you want to check any of those out, the links are down in the description. When 36 Chambers dropped, it blew people's minds. It wasn't polished, it wasn't pretty, and it didn't sound like anything else that came out of New York. The underground pushed it first and the industry caught up after. Suddenly the raw, dusty, kung fu lace world RZA had built was everywhere.
Why people caught on to it so fast? Because they was starving for some real hip hop. They was tired of all that whackness. But they got a chance to hear fat lyrics and fat tracks. That's like getting bananas in your cereal.
Within months, RZA's 5-year plan kicked into motion. Each member stepped into their own solo deal, something nobody had pulled off before, while RZA stayed at the center producing everything.
Who did 7 platinum back to back as a producer? Single. Wu-Tang goes platinum, multiple platinums. Method Man, double plat. Raekwon, plat. Dirt, plat. RZA, plat. Ghost, plat. Then another Wu, multi-plats. Back to back.
The fact that he was able to make a different sound for every one of them on their solo first endeavors is insane. RZA albums didn't sound like Takao. They all had like a certain little unique twist.
Albums that expanded the Wu universe and turned the 5-year plan into reality, giving RZA one of the strongest runs of any producer ever. And producers across generations took pieces of the blueprint. The world building, the directing, the idea that the producer could shape an entire universe.
When I said Wu-Tang Forever, I wasn't just talking about us as the figures of it. I was just talking about what we brought to the game. The energy ain't going nowhere, yo. Somebody gonna pick that up.
And if you want to hear more stories like this, check out our Behind the Records series.
All right, cool. There you have it, though. Yeah, definitely a good little video to check out. They get more deep, though. I heard so many stories about how RZA did his thing, but it get more in depth, especially about how, he separate the compressions for each member. That's pretty cool as well, too. The whole story is awesome. And they had me looking up stuff that he was talking about, like the beatbox that Flash used, the rhythm box that they use, and all that as well too. So yeah, other than that, always shout out to L Train with the Loop Kitchen videos as well too. If you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If I got time, I might do another one. But other than that, it's your boy T-Bird signing off. One love.